The bedrock of every democratic society is the dignity and worth of the human person, which can only be respected and upheld by safeguarding their human rights. Yet it is remarkable that the two main institutions in the Americas responsible for protecting these human rights are hopelessly underfunded and under-resourced. Consequently, they struggle to carry out the critical tasks assigned to them by the very governments that created them. The two organizations are the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. What is worse is that both the Commission and the Court now depend on financial assistance from European nations to fulfill their obligations to the peoples of the Americas. In other words, the countries of the Americas, from Canada and the United States in the north to Argentina in the south, with the Caribbean in between, now rely on European states, including former colonial and imperial powers, to fund the protection of human rights within the Americas region. The inappropriateness of that situation is palpable and absurd. But worse yet, this state of dependency raises serious questions about how truly committed are the governments to upholding human rights in all countries, including their own. It's no longer enough to voice support for human rights in resolutions and high-sounding speeches. Financial commitment must match the words. Now, the case of the Inter-American Court is instructive. It was established by the American Convention on Human Rights, which entered into force in 1978, and it began functioning in 1979. But like the Commission, the Court has always struggled financially. Yet the Court provides the ultimate legal protection for victims of human rights abuses. Without adequate funding, the Court will be unable to deliver that protection, leaving victims exposed to violations. This is not just a hypothetical risk, it is a real and pressing concern for millions across the Americas. A survey of other international human rights courts and arbitral bodies demonstrates the sheer disparity in funding. In 2023, for instance, the Inter-American Court operated on a budget of just $7 million. By comparison, the European Court of Justice had an annual budget of $81 million, and the African Court of Justice operated with approximately $50 million. Alarmingly, 30% of the Inter-American Court's budget is funded by European countries, including the European Union. It's high time that the governments of the Americas, especially the wealthier ones, ask themselves if it is acceptable that after fighting for political and economic independence from European nations, they are now content for the legal protection of their own citizens' human rights to be propped up by European funds. Both the Court and the Commission are vital institutions for the protection and advancement of human rights throughout the Americas. Neither governments, political parties, nor civil society should be satisfied with weak human rights institutions. Politicians, including current leaders, have depended on these bodies to protect them from political persecution. For example, the President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, acknowledges that he benefited from a 2014 decision by the Inter-American Commission that overturned a 15-year ban on him holding public office. Had the Commission not acted, President Petro would not be president today. While Caribbean countries have access to the Caribbean Court of Justice and, in some cases, the Judicial Committee of the British Privy Council, the Inter-American Court offers further scope for human rights protection. That's one reason why it's important. But whether or not a Caribbean country is a formal member of the court, it can still access the court's advisory jurisdiction as a member of the Organization of American States. A compelling example of the importance of the court's role is the ongoing proceedings brought by Colombia and Chile seeking an advisory opinion on the effects of climate change on human rights. Several Caribbean countries, including Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, gave testimony to the court through their joint organization, the Commission for Small Island States and International Law. A favorable advisory opinion from the Inter-American Court, building on a strong opinion already given by the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, would be significantly important to bolster the legal arguments for Caribbean states which are seeking compensation for loss and damage caused by the world's largest contributors to global warming and sea level rise. Given the rising importance of such issues, it is deeply troubling that the Inter-American Commission and Court are left in such precarious financial situations. Governments must move beyond declarations and words and allocate the necessary resources to these institutions. The protection of human rights in the Americas demand more than speeches and resolutions. It requires concrete financial action, or the safeguarding of human rights will diminish, and the tentacles of tyranny and oppression will grow and spread.